Hello, everyone. My name is Diana. I am the owner and founder of mVua, handcrafted hair and skincare products. um, and this is my new YouTube channel. I wanted to come go live for my first introduction video, which isn't the standard. It isn't typical, but I want to become comfortable uh, in this setting and going live because I hope to have discussions about the different topics that I plan to bring to the platform. And I also plan to do live sales for my products and discuss those in more details. And I would like to be able to answer questions live and in person, any types of tips and things of that nature. So I figured, why not jump on in? Although I don't expect to have many people, that may be a good thing considering it's my first time. So bear with me, and thank you for stopping by. And hopefully, you'll see reason to hang around for a bit. And if you're watching the replay, welcome and thank you as well. So, as I stated, I do have a business. The name of my company is mVua. I started that probably about, let's see, 2012. So, a little over 10 years ago. And I make hair and skincare products. So, anything from hair shampoos, cleansers, conditioners, moisturizers, hair oils, to body soaps, body cleansers, salt scrubs, all of those types of things. And what started me or prompted me to begin formulating products is the hormonal challenges that I faced over the years. So, as you'll see noted in my titles, and this will be a part of the discussions going forward, I have type 1 diabetes. I was diagnosed when I was 10 years old. So, I've had it, I've been managing the challenges of that for over 30 years. I am in my 40s. And I also have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And that's, I don't remember how old I was exactly when I got a formal medical diagnosis. I do believe that I had it for many years prior to that. But I believe I was in my 20s. So we'll say that I've been managing the challenges that come along with having that particular syndrome, which is this PCOS, for about 20 years. So, um, since both of those really um, affect hormones, you can imagine what challenges come when it comes to trying to um, obtain and maintain healthy skin and healthy hair. Um, because anytime you have some hormonal um, disruptions. Uh, it causes acne, can cause hair loss, hair growth where you don't want hair. You don't have the hair where you want it to grow, but it grows where you don't want it to go. And so, figuring out first of all why all of that is happening, and dealing with it medically, and then on the flip side of that, understanding what is necessary to be able to manage it in a way where you're okay with it, and you look and feel your best. It can be a lot. And especially being a woman of color, when I first started dealing with these challenges, there weren't as many options for us when it comes to natural hair care, and not even so much natural hair care, just care for our hair and skin that's best, that's catered to what will help our hair and skin um, to be healthy in general, but especially adding on the additional challenges that comes with having these hormonal imbalances. So again, that prompted me to create the products that I have. I've been using my products for 10 plus years, and I believe that the products in themselves, yes, will be beneficial to others who have a similar story that I do. But I also want to be able to discuss other things that I've come to realize over the years in managing these things. And again, in my opinion, being successful in managing those things. So, one of the main reasons I wanted to start this channel, definitely brand awareness, but again, um, really helping others to understand the reasoning behind the creation of my products and being able to see my personal story with respects to not only the why, but the everyday that I've accomplished using them and how I continue to use them. So, um, here, just as to reiterate, what I plan to discuss are tips, pointers, wins, ideas from years of personal life experience. And also, you'll see noted on my page, I talk about locks. So, everything that's or everywhere that I am right now with respects to hair and skin, um, kind of comes from the ups and downs that I went through with respects to figuring out what's going on with my hair and skin. Again, once I medically knew how to handle that part. But now, okay, now that I understand that this is the hormonal issues that I will be dealing with, how do I manage that with respects to me making sure that my hair and skin is still at its best within the parameter of my medical situation? Now, my locks, I have micro locks. Um, they were installed or established, whichever word you prefer to use, in April of 2021, 22, 23. Yes. So in April of this year, 2024, I will have had my locks for 3 years. I don't know how many I have. I didn't request for them to be counted. I've never desired to know how many I have. Um, I have, I don't believe that I have as much as most people have because, for one, I have a taper in the back. I keep that short. That was kind of intentional. I had a taper. My hair, I wore a taper for years prior to growing my locks out. So when I started growing my hair, because I did want my hair to be a certain length before I locked it, I just kept that tapered. I didn't want to wait for it to grow in, and I like it being tapered if I decide to wear my hair up or things like that. So that's one aspect. There's a nice section in the back that's not locked, but also because of my hormonal imbalances, I do have thin spots like in the crown of my head and around my edges. And so there are some areas where I don't have as many locks as someone who doesn't have these issues within her head they have. So that's that. Now, my locks were established or installed by a loctician. I started my locks with interlocking. So I interlock, but I didn't start off. I don't want to get too. I will do a separate video that's specifically about locks. But just as a general overview, there's typically there's multiple ways that you can start your lock journey. Even with micro locks, you can do the palm rolling, twist braids, or start off interlocking. So it was a long process, but I didn't want to go through the pattern change. So I just wanted to go ahead and start from scratch from interlocking. So that's what I did. And my loctician installed them, established them. I went back for the first retie. And then after that, I've been retying my own hair personally ever since. And so that's been an interesting journey. It was very interesting to begin with, but now um, it, it, it takes me about 6 hours to do my reties, and I typically retie my hair between 5 and 6 weeks, and that's because of again my areas where uh, there's thin areas, and I just want to make sure that I don't give my hair the reason to break off and things of that nature. So again, that's a part of the journey or the necessity to know um, what's going on with you personally and what it is you need to do to maintain whatever it is you're trying to maintain, be it healthy hair that's not breaking, skincare, and all of those types of things. So, just a little bit about that, because I definitely will be discussing locks, because I do have a lock care line for products to uh, take care of your locks, from cleansing to moisturizing to oils. And so, and I've been using my product line um, ever since. And again, just to kind of help people to see other options that are available, what it is I use, why I use it, and the difference that it has made for my hair and my locks to have made it to the point that they are now. Again, they've grown. My hair, I think, was about 5 inches when I started my lock journey. So they've grown quite a bit. And so, yes, that'll be another topic, the love and maintenance of locks, because I thought about getting locks for a few years. And my the biggest pause for me was the maintenance. Is the expense of it, and also the fact that it takes a while to retire hair. But the pandemic actually was the point in time that had me make the leap. During the pandemic, just like everyone else, was home, and I learned to braid my own hair, adding hair to do like box braids and things of that nature. So it just hit me one day, if I could sit here and do these box braids, braid, then I can figure out and learn how to retie my hair, which is every 5 to 6 weeks, 4 or 5 intertwines versus braiding all the way down till it gets to the length that you want it. You only have to retie the new growth at the root. And so um, that's what really made me go ahead and make the decision. And best decision yet so far with respects to the health of my hair, um, and the 6 hours that it takes me to retie. Um, I really don't have much to do outside of that, um, when it comes to um, managing my hair. I wash my hair once a week. And of course, I moisturize it and oil it and things of that nature. But outside of that, I can style it or not. I literally wake up like this. I may want to put some gel on my edges. I may not, if I'm just running errands during the day or whatever the case may be. But best decision ever. So again, I don't want to go off on a major tangent today or any of these specific topics, but I do want to give an overview of what to expect on this channel, what I hope to accomplish on this channel. So locks, that's also going to be a topic that's discussed with respects to how I maintain them. And I believe that locks have become a very popular way of managing Black hair, and not just Black hair, other hair is other types of hair as well, other cultures as well. But I believe it's really caught on for our culture, mainly because it is something that we're able to manage and keep our hair healthy. And it frees us from having to worry about things like getting our hair wet, sweating our hair out, exercising, things of that nature, just letting our hair be. And so I think it's important to really know what options we have. There's so many different thoughts. I really feel when it comes to skin and hair care, that there isn't one method, there isn't one product that's right for everyone. I think that it's really important for a person to get to know their skin, get to know their hair, and know your products. You have to do your own research. Even if your texture or your skin looks exactly like someone else's, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to work for you. It's more likely that it'll work for you. But I still think that it's so important for a person to really understand what they're doing, what they're using, and why they've decided to do these things or use these things. Um, because thankfully now there is more knowledge. There are more options with respects to what to use, why to use it. And so the importance is there, and the ability is there. The importance has always been there, but the ability hasn't always been there. And now it's so easy to do research. You can look up a product online and search the ingredients, see what they are. And when you see what the ingredients are, you can search the specific ingredients, see what it is. Why do they use that? Is this something that's going to benefit or not benefit my skin or my hair? What it is I'm trying to accomplish, what it is that my skin needs to address, the way that it's acting is enacting. And so that's my thought on that. I believe that the products that I have will be beneficial to a lot of people. But again, it's about education. It's about knowing what to use. And of course, since the products that I have, I make, um, I am the best, um, most able and educated with respects to being able to advise what's in them, why I use particular ingredients, what they accomplish, and if it can benefit any needs, wants that you're trying to accomplish when it comes to healthy skin and hair. And again, all of this comes full circle, because this started again with the challenges that I I wasn't successful in finding things that would help me to be able to have the healthy skin and hair that I felt that I should be able to obtain, even though I have these hormonal issues, and that I now successfully am able to say, um, I feel that my skin and my hair is in its best form that it's ever been in. And that is um, significantly due to the products that I make and I also use. And again, I can't stress enough, once I had, and you have, make sure that you first medically know what your situation is and dealt with that side of things. I always say that that is a necessity. There are always things that can assist and making sure that any situation is better. But when it's a true medical situation like type 1 diabetes and PCOS, I always say first, see medically, get that under control. And then you work on the managing it along with whatever the licensed medical advice that is provided to you. Um, so, a couple of other things that I do want to discuss is just different things that over the years, um, as I stated, I've had type 1 diabetes for over 30 years. And so I've seen technology change multiple times tremendously, even if you just look at insulin. So, type 1 diabetes, if you're watching this for type 1 diabetes, I'm sure you probably know the basics. But um, one of the things that still kind of makes me boil is the insufficient knowledge that there is out about type 1 diabetes. And again, this can and will be an entire video in the future. I've had medical situations where I've been in a hospital for something totally non related, and the nursing staff has absolutely no idea what to do with me with respects to managing my insulin intake. Um, I personally, and I've heard other people say this as well, I think that it was a, what's the word? It wasn't best to name type 1 diabetes type 1 diabetes. Um, and I say that because um, there is a minority of people that have type 1 diabetes. Um, Even though that number is growing now, like so many more people are being diagnosed with it. But since the majority of people have type 2 diabetes, when the word diabetes is mentioned, the focus, that's where it is. And they're not the same. There are similarities, obviously, but type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disorder. Type 1 diabetes, you can't treat it by taking any pills. The basic of it is the pancreas does not produce insulin, period. There's no cure for it. Taking cinnamon, losing weight, gaining weight has absolutely no bearing on type 1 diabetes. Managing type 1 diabetes is totally different than managing type 2 diabetes. And you can say it until you're blue in the face. But when medical staff isn't trained to understand what that means, when it comes to the difference in how, why, and when you take insulin, taking insulin, having dosing on a scale, not, well, let me just see what your blood glucose level is right now, and I'll just give you something for that in this moment, even though you're going to be eating, I don't know, 20 carbs. And there's no thought or teaching to know, no, I also need to take enough insulin in order to keep my sugar from spiking based on what my sugar is now, the level is now, versus what it is I'm getting ready to intake. So, all of those things. And again, this is just like a quick overview, um, but it kind of like makes my skin boil that technology, thankfully, has progressed with the continuous glucose monitors, pumps. We'll talk about those types of things. And again, I mentioned even insulin. When I was diagnosed, um, we didn't have short acting and long acting. There was an insulin. There was. I'm trying to think of the first insulin, but I was 10. But it was back in the day where you took, even as a type 1 diabetic, you took one, maybe two shots a day. It was two shots a day, I think. And the shortest acting one still worked for hours. And so it was really hard to manage um, daily activities versus if, let's say, for instance, now, which is great, you're either on a pump, which I'm not on a pump currently, but I had the Omnipod, which I like, but I go back and forth with if and when I want to be connected. But so the pump is great. It automatically gives you a small amount of insulin every hour, and then you let it know this is what I'm about to eat. This is what I need to do. It kind of works similar to your pancreas. A person who doesn't have type 1 diabetes, your pancreas knows when to produce insulin based on what it is you're eating, what are your needs. So that's one thing. But even not being on the pump, there's short acting insulin, long acting insulin. So you take the long acting once a day, some in the morning, which is when I take it, some in the evening, and it stays in your system for at least 24 hours. Most of them I think stay in your system even longer than that. And then you have your short acting where you can really base the amount that you need on what your sugar level is, what it is you're about to eat, and your activity. So, again, although you're doing it manually, you're better able to manage the level of your blood sugar. And so, that in itself um, is totally separate from type 2 diabetes. There are people with type 2 diabetes that have to take insulin, but typically, and I don't want to act to be a scholar on type 2 because that's not what I have. And I really don't like when people with type 2 diabetes um, try to manage type 1. So I'm not going to do that. But I do understand that with type 2 diabetes, it's typically more about your body, your pancreas is still able to produce insulin, but your body just has built up a resistance to it. And sometimes it gets to the point where your body is resisting it to the point where you need to help it out. and give some more insulin. And that's why a lot of times with type 2, if you exercise and you get the body more able to, what's the word? What did I say? Um, recognize that insulin, then that usually helps. And that also is why uh, people that take type 2, that have type 2 diabetes, can take things like metformin, and that too helps the body to be able to recognize that insulin, for to make it so that it's not resisting it. That's the word, I forgot. That it helps the body to no longer resist the insulin. So that's why weight, diet, is a main factor. Now, of course, as a type 1 diabetic, a good diet, a good weight, yeah, that's great for everyone. But it's not a factor when it comes to whether or not we have it. It absolutely has nothing to do with it. Um, watching your diet and your activity is a constant, mainly because we manually have to manage what our blood sugar level will be based on insulin activity, the foods that we're eating. Um, so those are things that I want to discuss, and I kind of want to see what other people are dealing with, and kind of in comparison to the things that I've dealt with, even when it comes to dealing with pharmacies and dealing with um, uh, what are they called? The durable medical equipment. Um, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I do know I'm drawing a blank because I'm on live. Um, but the medical supply companies, I have many things to say about those places, and I've dealt with many of them. Um, I like none. Some are worse than others, but they're all bad. And that really, I don't understand that, because the majority of the patients that use these type of medical supply companies, not only are they sick, but the majority of them are older. And so I'm fairly young, and the hoops that I have to jump through just for something to make sense sometimes, it really, that makes me boil too, because if the majority of your patients are more sick and they are older, because that's where you get heart equipment from, that's where you get oxygen, that type of equipment from, that's where you get um, walkers and wheelchairs, all of those types of things. What are they going through? And it happens all the time. I cannot say, and again, I've dealt with many of them. There isn't one um, medical equipment company that I've dealt with that I would recommend, or that I've had a successful time span of dealing with them in one given situation. There's always, I've gotten um, incorrect orders sent to me as far as my CGM sensors. Tried to act as if I was older, I probably wouldn't have caught it, but I did. And they basically had to admit it. It's just been the craziest things. And they have absolutely no answer as to why, what happened, why. So those are things that I want to discuss. And again, it seems like a lot of stuff, but it does all come full circle with respects to my company, why I created it, and this is the life that I live that has caused that. And so anything that I can help others to be able to um, assist, because again, there's knowledge out there, but I don't think a lot of people talk about personal experience with some of these things, because uh, it, it's not pretty. But sometimes it's the small things that you don't think about, and that was one of the things I started thinking about. Some things that you can go online and Google, it's a big deal, but it's the small things that, I didn't know, I didn't realize. you just kind of come across that because by mistake you heard or you saw. Those are the things that sometimes until you get into a conversation, you don't realize that it's even a thing, or you don't realize that it's something that someone else could benefit from, or it may be something that didn't even remember that happened until it's triggered by an actual question or a conversation. So that's my hope for this channel. And like I said, I too will be having some live sales. That's my plan, and that way I can answer specific questions at that moment, because I know sometimes it's hard to buy online from a brand, a person that you don't know. Even when you can see the benefits, you can see the ingredients, you might have some questions. You might want to just know what it looks like, feels like between your hands and things like that. So that's something that I want to do that I think will be beneficial. Um, so if any of these topics that I've discussed are of interest to you, please subscribe to my channel and share. Share with anyone who may benefit from this type of information. I just feel let's talk about it. And as time progresses, I plan to get better. I'm sure there will be some changes, some updates, some upgrades, me figuring things out. But again, if you're watching, thank you. If you watch the replay, thank you. Bear with me. And thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.